At the beginning, we see Jack. He dreams about Earth before the war, the way he's only seen it in pictures. He sees a woman smiling at him, someone he's never met, but feels a strong connection to her, as if it's not a dream, but a memory. Jack wakes up in the year 2077. It's been 5 years since a mandatory memory wipe, but he's still haunted by the same dreams. He and Victoria have been assigned to Earth on a mission, which will be completed in 2 weeks. Then, they can join the others. They're very different, he's curious, while she isn't. Half a century ago, an alien species called the Scavengers destroyed Earth's moon and tried to take over the planet, as their own was dying. Without the moon, Earth fell into chaos. Earthquakes and tsunamis destroyed much of it. When the invasion came, the remaining humans used nuclear weapons to win the war, but the planet was left mostly uninhabitable. The survivors left and built the TT, a temporary space station, before migrating to one of Saturn's moons, Titan. Everyone has already relocated, except Jack and Victoria, who stayed to protect the hydro rigs that convert water into energy. Humanity's survival depends on it. Scavengers still on Earth continue attacking the drones and disrupting operations. Jack and Victoria are called an effective team by Mission Control. She's the communication officer, and he handles tech support for the drones. She looks forward to leaving for Titan, but Jack feels Earth is still his home. Jack enters his vessel for a daily patrol. He activates the systems, checks in with Victoria, and lifts off. He confirms visuals of the hydro rigs, but suddenly Victoria informs him that 2 drones are down. Mission Control comes online, and Victoria updates Sally at the TT. Sally relays the info to Jack and links his vessel to a beacon. He follows it through a storm. Jack regains control just before crashing and heads to Drone 160, SX's last location. Before he lands, Victoria checks for scavenger activity, but visibility is limited. Jack lands, grabs his tools, and tells Victoria to watch his back. While working and chatting with her, someone watches him from the shadows. She says he can't fix the drone, but he uses chewing gum to make it work. Just before it powers up, Victoria notices movement on her monitors. Jack turns, only to see a dog. The drone activates, and he shoos the dog away so it doesn't get hurt. The drone scans Jack's ID and doesn't engage. It scans the area, then blasts off. Jack stops for lunch and tells Victoria that the scavengers are getting bolder. She says that once they're gone, all that's left will be dust and radiation. He decides to search for Drone 172 on the ground, using his bike. Riding through the desolate landscape, he gets a weak signal, likely from the drone. He finds a sinkhole and suspects it fell inside. He informs Victoria he's going in. She warns him that the TET will go offline in 15 minutes, so he'll be on his own. Jack secures a rope to his bike and climbs down, unaware that scavengers are still watching. Victoria requests a drone to his location for backup. Jack lowers himself carefully. He hears the drone and finally sees it, but Control can't hear him anymore. Suddenly, scavengers capture him. He shoots the rope and frees himself, firing at them. They pull the beam away, and he jumps the gap as they close in. He secures himself and begins climbing out, but someone shoots the rope. He plummets back into the hole. Just when it seems hopeless, a drone arrives, scanning, then blasting the scavengers. It's Drone 166. It scans Jack again, hesitating to recognize him. He finds a book on the ground and takes it. When Jack reaches the top, he sees his bike has been stolen. He manages to return home. While showering, he has another memory of New York. Later, while repairing a drone, he looks at the book he found. Victoria interrupts, preparing dinner as the sun sets. He gives her flowers he had picked earlier. She throws them out, saying they might be toxic. During dinner, he tells her the scavengers weren't trying to kill him, just catch him. Outside, Victoria jumps into their pool. Jack follows, but hesitates to get in. He asks her to join him on the ground one day before they leave. She pulls him into the pool. As they kiss underwater, Jack has another vision of the same mysterious woman. He wakes up and sees a massive explosion in the distance. Investigating, he finds that a hydro rig has exploded. He suspects the scavengers weaponized a drone. He traces a rogue signal being transmitted off-planet and follows it to the top of what was once the Empire State Building. On foot, Jack sees something from his dreams. He hears the beacon and moves toward it, spotting trinkets on the ground. The building is being used as an antenna. Victoria decrypts the data. It's a set of coordinates in the middle of nowhere. Jack shuts it down. He resumes his rounds, getting dangerously close to the radiation zone. Before returning home, he goes off comms and checks the perimeter. He enters a lush ravine and lands near a lakeside house. Inside, he adds the trinkets to his collection, puts on a Led Zeppelin record, and relaxes outside, enjoying the peace. He falls asleep on the grass and dreams again of the woman at the Empire State Building. Suddenly, he sees an object falling from the sky. He quickly takes off. Victoria tracks the crash site. It landed at the beacon coordinates. She warns that the mission is almost offline and reports the event. Sally tells Jack to stand down. Drones have already been dispatched. He disobeys and goes anyway. As he approaches, he realizes the object looks human and pre-war. Landing on site, he discovers hibernation pods with humans inside. He informs Victoria there are 5 survivors. One of them is the woman from his dreams. Drones suddenly arrive and begin destroying the pods. Jack tells them to stop, but Drone 166 prepares to fire. It clears his ID but still targets the pod. Jack protects it and shoots the drone, disabling it. Scavengers observe from a distance. Jack lands and pulls the pod out. Victoria opens the door and helps him open it. Jack grabs the med kit. Victoria wants to report the incident, but Jack warns her about the drones. The woman wakes up, coughing and vomiting fluid. She collapses into Jack's arms, calling him by name. Later, she's conscious and asks where she is. Victoria introduces them. The woman says her name is Julia. They explain the crash and tell her about the war and the migration to Titan. Julia asks how long she's been asleep. Jack tells her it's been 60 years. Over lunch, Jack questions her about the beacon and her mission. Julia says she needs the ship's flight recorder. Victoria warns that Earth has changed drastically. They explain the alien invasion and the migration. Julia sees them holding hands and laughs. Victoria doesn't like her. Later, Victoria tells Jack she wants her gone. Jack asks if she remembers anything from before the mission or Julia, but Victoria gets upset and reminds him that a scavenger beacon brought her down. The scavengers have now found their home. Later that night, Julia is awake when Jack joins her. He tells her that Victoria will report her to the TET and they'll send someone down. Julia says she needs the flight recorder. Both of them need to know the truth. They leave, and Victoria tells Jack she can't protect him anymore. When they arrive at the crash site, she observes through the vessel's camera. Julia sees the pods, and Jack tells her that he couldn't save them. Victoria sees someone on the monitors and tries to tell them but fails, as Julia is looking for the recording. She finally finds it. Suddenly, scavengers appear and knock Jack over. He sends the vessel back, and they knock him out completely. The two of them are being taken somewhere by the scavengers. The following day, the vessel comes back to Victoria. Mission comes online, and she doesn't tell her exactly what has happened, just that he went off calm. So, she asks for a drone to scout the area where he was last. Jack wakes up with a light on his face, restrained. He hears a voice recite lines from the book he previously found. A man lights a cigar in the darkness and tells him that he's been watching him, noticing how curious he is. Jack says that they won't get anything out of him because his memory has been wiped. The lights come on to show an entire building full of humans. Jack is confused, so the man Beach explains what they are, just human. But they have to hide from the drones because they're programmed to kill humans. He asks why Jack protected Julia from a drone, and Jack replies that anyone would have done that. Sykes walks up to them, saying a drone will track him. They remove Jack's restraints and get him up. Meanwhile, Victoria is checking the tracking data from the drone with Mission, and Sally confirms it's Jack. Beach takes Jack down to their ground facility and tells him they brought Julia's ship down for its reactor. He says the reactor, along with drone fuel cells they've scavenged, can make a nuke. One of the drones they've taken can carry it, but only Jack can access it. Simultaneously, the drone is tracking his DNA to their hiding spot. Beach needs Jack to program the drone to carry the nuke to the center of the TET and end the war. Jack won't do it, so Sykes shoots him. They bring in Julia and threaten her life. Suddenly, an alarm goes off, warning of the incoming drone. It arrives and scans the hiding place. The scavengers try to take it down, but it kills a few of them before Sykes destroys it. Victoria and Mission confirm the drone goes offline, and Victoria asks for 2 more. At the same time, Jack tells Beach the same. The scavengers let them go. Before they leave, Beach tells Jack he can find the truth in one of the radiation zones. Jack and Julia reach the Empire State Building. He sends Victoria a message that he's alive, and she informs Mission so they can call off the drones. Victoria sends the vessel to Jack. While they wait for it, Jack asks Julia who she really is. She explains that the mission she was on was a research flight to Titan. But 6 weeks before launch, their sensors picked up an alien object, and they were reassigned to investigate. That alien object was the TET. She tells him she's actually his wife and that he isn't who he thinks he is. Julia says that he asked her to marry him at the very place they're standing. Jack remembers parts of it, but is still confused. The vessel arrives, and Victoria sees them embracing. They return to the home, but Victoria won't let them inside. Jack tells her they need to leave and explains that Julia is his wife. Victoria informs TT about Julia, despite Jack's protests. Suddenly, the door opens and one of the drones at the home activates. Jack tells Victoria to come with him, but she refuses and doesn't believe anything he says. The drone appears and kills her. It then targets Jack, but Julia takes it out. Jack finally talks to TT, and it tells him it wants to bring him and Julia in to assign them a new mission. They leave the home, and TT sends drones to capture them. They have a long and grueling chase. The vessel hides behind a waterfall, and the drones miss it. Jack comes up behind them and destroys two. The last one is resilient. It almost crashes their ship, but Jack outmaneuvers and destroys it. Unfortunately, drone 166 follows them and pushes them into the radiation zone. It crashes into them and destroys the ship. Jack pulls the escape lever. They're stranded. He hears a drone in the distance and goes to check if it's online when he sees another vessel like his own land nearby. He can't see the man through his scope, so he gets closer. The man he finds is himself. The other Jack tells him to drop his weapon and that they need to shoot down the drone. Julia appears, and the other Jack suddenly recalls her. The two Jacks struggle, first for their guns, then hand to hand, until Jack 49 incapacitates Jack 52. Suddenly, 166 comes online, but Jack 49 quickly removes its fuel cell and powers it off. He calls out for Julia and finds that she's been shot. Jack carries her to safety, then restrains 52 and takes his vessel, flying it home. Once inside, he notices everything is pretty much the same. He finds the med kit and takes what he needs. Victoria 52 catches him, but he convinces her that he's her Jack. However, she refuses to join him on the ground. When Jack gets back, he sees that 52 has escaped. He treats Julia's wounds, gets her into the vessel, and takes her to his house by the lake. When Julia wakes up, fully healed, she looks around and plays Jack's favorite record. She joins him outside, and he tells her that he knows he's not the original, but that he's loved her for as long as he can remember. Julia tells him that eventually, what makes him him are his memories. The next morning, Jack knows what he has to do. He decides to help Beach, and Julia goes with him. They arrive at the hiding place, and Beach is glad they've decided to help. Meanwhile, TT goes over footage from the previous time Jack was there and finds his data. It sends 3 drones after them. Jack programs the drone while Beach tells them he was there when it all started, from the destruction of the moon to the eventual starvation of humans. Finally, the TT invaded the planet with troops that all looked like Jack Harper. Their memories were wiped, and they were programmed to kill. Beach says the TT is a brilliant machine that feeds on planets for energy. One day, he saw Jack pick up the book and save Julia, giving him hope that maybe Jack was different and could help if he ever came back. Jack activates the drone, and Beach says he'd love to see the TT's face when the nuke goes off. It would be a one-way trip, but worth it. The scavengers prep the drone for its final mission and open the gates. Unfortunately, the 3 drones arrive first. They come inside and wreak havoc. Everyone fights, but the machines are stronger and kill many humans. Beach destroys one but is badly wounded, and the drone with the nuke is destroyed. Sykes takes out the second drone, and Jack the third. Realizing the plan has failed, Julia suggests another one. Since TT asked Jack to bring her, he can carry the nuke in a pod. They say goodbye in front of a painting that reminds her of home. They prep the pod with the explosive, and Jack lays Julia inside, telling her to dream of them. He closes the pod, drags it to his vessel, and sets course for TT. During the flight, Jack plays a ship recording and remembers everything. He was the commander, and Sally was the actual NASA mission control. Victoria was his co-pilot, and the rest of the crew, including Julia, were in hibernation. In the past, they approached the TT. Realizing it was pulling them in, Jack ejected the hibernation module. He and Victoria were taken into the TT. In the present, Jack approaches the TT and tells it he's bringing a survivor. It grants him entry. Inside, it sends drones to him, but he convinces it to let him get closer. On the way, he sees many clones of himself and Victoria. TT welcomes him home as he lands. He takes out the pod and opens it. Beach pops out. Julia, meanwhile, wakes in the house by the lake. She didn't know Jack would take her there. Simultaneously, drones approach the surviving humans. Back in the TT, Jack and Beach activate the nuke, and the TT is destroyed along with all its drones. Sykes and Julia watch the explosion. 3 years later, Julia lives in the house with her daughter. Suddenly, the rest of the survivors appear at the lake. Jack 52 arrives with them. Jack has returned home to his wife and child. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.